Okay, here's my homemade taffy puller. I've been wanting to make a video of this for quite some time, but I was planning on putting a fourth gear in before I made a how-to video. I just got a comment saying I needed to post one, so here it is. What it's made out of is I just got a 2x6 for the top, sides, and bottom. Oh, yeah. And then a 2x2 for the midsection and then that bottom structure. And that's it for the wood. The bar is a 5/8 bar that I got over at the it's called Dirk Kersley's. It's a swamp cooler supply company. Got 2 bars of that. That was about $5 a piece for those. And then I bought the swamp cooler bushings. And those were $5 a piece. That's these right here. And screwed those just to the board. Then what I did is I went over to the bike shop and I bought a 22 tooth gear for the main gear. Those I picked up for $5 a piece too. If you can't pick up on it, everything on this thing is about $5. Starts adding up pretty fast. Then if we look on the back side, what I did is I bought a bushing. Geesh, it's really dark. Can hardly tell what this is. But this is just a bushing with a set screw in it that I welded to a piece of metal and put 4 holes in it to make it so my sprocket would fit on there. And then I just used hose clamps, nothing pretty, but they work just to stabilize it so it doesn't shift side to side. And that's what I did on all of them. This one over here didn't fit. They didn't have the right size of bushing. So what I had to do is I actually had to make a little bushing in there that slides in there, and then my set screw would go down through the middle there and actually hit the bar. So that's how I made that. Out here, what I did is I just ground down so that it would fit perfectly into a KitchenAid. Nothing, like I said, I didn't really follow any plans. I just kind of built to fit. But what I found is when you put this on the KitchenAid and start it, what it'll do is it'll kick it. And when the taffy starts, catching and pulling and catching, it'll cause it to rock. So I got another piece of tie down, just cut it in half and screwed it to the side. And then that loops around the KitchenAid, which causes it to... It doesn't matter if it shifts or kicks around. It's going to be pulled towards that KitchenAid. Makes it so it doesn't move. I went over to Motion Industries. This is a little bit more expensive way to go. But I had no idea where I could even buy this until my neighbor was looking at it, and he said I wouldn't have had to go to all the effort if I would have went to Motion Industries. Went there, and these are $20 a piece. So I don't know if I'd recommend going and buying these or making your own. But this is a 9-tooth sprocket that, and those are 22-tooth sprockets down there. What I'm hoping that this will do is gear it down because it spins a little bit fast until the taffy's on it. Then it seemed to be at the right speed. But if I could slow it down, I think it would be a lot easier to put the taffy on and make it so it can load it just a little bit easier. When you're making yours, some things to look out for that kind of took me a couple of tries to get right, and I think I've about got it down, is on this 5-inch bar. When you're heating it up, don't heat it up too much. Just make it so it's just barely red, well, a nice cherry red, and then bend it. And you'll get a bend like that, a nice smooth looking, clean bend. That was one of my last bends right there. Looks a lot better. When I first started, because I don't really work with metal, so this was just with an oxygen and acetylene torch and trial and error. I heated it up too much, which kind of gave me some pits in my metal, and they don't really brush out very good. If I spent a little bit more time with some steel wool, I think I could make that so it looked not so gross, but it is what it is. That one just came out a lot cleaner, a lot easier because I didn't heat up the metal so much. Another thing is when you're bending this bar, I don't know if you can really see on the camera, but it's not actually, this is a 90-degree bend, but this is a little bit more. It has an up tilt. So when the taffy's on it, when this arm tries to hit it, it's going to pull it towards the machine. And this arm is the same way. It pulls it towards the machine. This one here, it's bent a little bit more than 90 degrees too, so it wants to pull it back out. What that does is it makes it so they're fighting against each other, and it usually rides about right here, and so it doesn't try to pull it into the machine or off the machine. You'll see on my other video that the taffy does kind of shift back and forth, and you hear my buddy say, oh, it's going to fall off. But it doesn't really, because once it comes back over here, this starts grabbing it a little bit more and actually pulls it back. So up here, I just mounted this with just a piece of metal and welded that so it wouldn't rotate. Mounted that to the bottom of that 2x6, brought it out 90 degrees and slightly more than 90 degrees. This is, like I was saying, this is all just made out of swamp cooler parts that I got down there, and some 2x4s and 2x6s and 2x2s. Sorry, and that's about all there is to it. The homemade taffy puller.